Hi, welcome back to my channel. So this is a quick book talk about this book, Mirror, Shoulder, Signal by Dorthe Norse. And this book was originally written in Danish. It was translated by Misha Hoekstra into English. And at first when I started reading this book, I wouldn't say that I was totally captivated by the book. But there was something about that book that just felt somewhat magnetizing. You know what I mean? I was reading this book and I was sensing this kind of vibe being exuded off from the pages of this book, and I didn't really know what that vibe was, but it felt inviting. And yeah, certainly I had a positive experience when I first started reading book, and then I kept continuing. And then once I finished this book, even before I finished this book, I knew that I was going to like this book. And when I finished it, I was like, ooh. Yeah, so that was my thoughts about this book. This is a book about a 40-year-old woman who lives in Copenhagen. Her name is Sonia, and she's trying to learn how to drive, based on the cover and the title of this book. So there's going to be a lot of driving going on in the story. So Sonia is trying to drive, and when we are first introduced to her, we see her at a driving school, learning how to drive with a driving instructor that is simply not someone that she jibes well with. So she's really struggling how to drive because the instructor basically does not allow her to just drive freely, to experiment with changing gears herself. And so she feels really, in a way, she feels kind of suffocated by that experience. But as we read more into the story, we learn that Sonia's struggle not only extend to her experience with learning how to drive, but it also it also goes beyond that. It also includes her her life in general. Her work is basically, her occupation is she's a crime novel translator. So she translates Swedish crime novel into Danish, and she mentions that in this book, or rather it is mentioned in this book because this book is narrated by a third-person narrator. It seems that her career is kind of unfulfilling to her. She is kind of lonely. Well, not kind of lonely. She is very lonely in Copenhagen. Her only friends that she has in the city happen to be people that she doesn't particularly vibe well with, she's not fighting with them or anything, but she just doesn't click with them. And so as a result, even though she has friends, she feels lonely, and her love life is basically non-existent. So Sonia is pretty much just feeling really lost, feeling really alienated in this kind of very, I would say, gray and gloomy situation that she finds herself in the city of Copenhagen. And as she ruminates about all of these struggles that she has in life, her mind would often wander to her childhood, which she spent in Jutland with her family, which is basically a place that is a bit more rural compared to the city where she lives currently. And she would think about all of those beautiful natural landscapes that she would often venture into. She would go towards the rye fields. She would observe animals and plants and all those things. And every time when she thinks of her fairly miserable situation in Copenhagen, she thinks about her childhood and all of the beautiful natural things that she used to experience but no longer experience. So, this is a book that is very specific to a particular person. And so when you read this book, I would say relatability is not something to be expected. And it kind of reminds me also like how relatability is not necessarily something that is needed. Well, it's not necessarily. I would say relatability is actually not needed at all in order for you to enjoy a book. And this book is a prime example of a book that if you read it, you really need to pay attention to the character. You really need to listen to the character in order for you to be able to appreciate this book. Otherwise, you're going to feel kind of lost if you rely on relatability, if you rely on connecting to the character based on your own existing experience and trying to establish a common ground with the character, then I think there is a chance that you might fail, because this book is about a character with her own specific insecurities and hopes and dreams and anxieties and all those things. So if you do not click with any of those things, if you don't click with any of those struggles being portrayed here, if you don't click with any of the aspirations that the character has for herself in this book, you may find it quite difficult for you to relate with the character in this book. So I feel like after reading this book, I realized that sometimes I myself would sort of fall into the trap of just focusing on relatability and even though I would say I don't do this a lot, but sometimes I would kind of rate the book highly or enjoy the book more if I feel like I could relate with that character. Now, here's another thing though. Even though I talk about how this book is something that, it's more important for you to listen to the character because you might not be able to relate to her, I feel like to a certain extent I was able to relate to her, but not 100%. Maybe around 25 to 30%. Basically, I can sort of relate to her because she's a fairly neurotic character, and this is the kind of character that I really enjoy personally. So with all of my talks about relatability just now, I might not be totally honest with you guys. This might be a 40-year-old character, and I'm absolutely not a 40-year-old Danish woman, so I can't relate to any of those things. But I can relate to her neurotic tendencies, the way that she would be anxious at various minor things that some people would consider as frivolous or ridiculous to worry about. Those are the things that I experience myself, and it is very often that those traits tend to be portrayed in a way that is comedic or slapstick or with ridicule or basically not very positively. But this book portrays those traits as just a personality of that character, of Sonia, just her her brand of struggle that she needs to overcome. And it is shown in this compassionate light. And I appreciate that very much, because it feels like this book speaks for me to a certain extent. So yeah, I love neurotic characters. If you have any recommendation on books with neurotic characters, feel free to let me know down below. I would be very happy to check those out. But yeah, I was actually kind of surprised that I actually like mirror shoulder signal this much. It has a it has a minor element, fairly minor element of nature writing as well. It's not a lot, but I feel like this is a book that is kind of trying to show you the comparison between a more sanitized, more ordered urban life versus the more slower, more chaotic, but at the same time a bit more lush life that is nearer to the natural world. So if you're interested in that kind of writing as well, I think this book can provide that for you also. Anyway, I aim to make this video fairly short. So if you have any thoughts about this book, if you're interested in reading this book, or better still, if you've read this book, let me know in the comments below what you think about this book, or if you're interested in reading it, or if you have anything else you want to say in the comments, just feel free. So until then, take care. Thanks for watching, and and bye.